What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp. This is February 9th, 2022. This is Fightful Wrestling, brought to you by NordVPN.com/Fightful and HelixSleep.com/Fightful. Please support our sponsors. But you know what? You can support us. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, tap the bell for notifications. If you want your question or statement read on the air, get in your super chats and get in your humper chats. You might say, what is a humper chat? Well, go to humperchats.com and find out. I promise it is safe for work, but it is our comment platform in which you can leave comments on the air, off the air, before shows, after shows, and they'll get read on the air, and it allows us to keep a little bit more of a cut. It's a Streamlabs PayPal platform. Check it out, humperchats.com. I got Alex Pawlowski with me. You can find him 2 times a week, at least, on FightfulSelect.com. Boy, will I be tooting that horn tonight. Alex, how you doing?
Pretty damn great. Trying to think if I can remember a Dynamite that I enjoyed top to bottom as much as this one.
Well, Alex, I can't remember a single time you have reported or spoiled an AEW surprise. You shill mark.
I should have. I've known about all of them literally months in advance, and I just choose keeping them myself because I'm a little stinker.
Robert DeFelice also in that stinker stable that you got going right there. How are you doing, you fake news media hack?
I know. I could have said something like 3 weeks ago. I knew, but what can I say? Tony pays pretty well.
Shot Kid 29 said, glad I'm subbed to hear that reckless speculation. Yes, a couple hours, actually 4 or 5 hours before AEW Dynamite, I did a reckless speculation podcast on Fightful Select, where if you would have subscribed, you would have heard that Switchblade Jay White and Keith Lee were the rumored names to be appearing. A few hours later, I did report on Fightful Select that Keith Lee would be coming into the company. More on that later. Get in your super chats. Get on your humper chats. Bako5 says 5-star show top to bottom. Felt like a pay-per-view. Oh, boy. And I was expecting the main event to be like, okay, well, we know who's going to win. Boy, did that match deliver. Can't wait to talk about that. Zach Schimmel, shout out to him for subscribing to the monster Fightful Select level. Says, I love Fightful, and tonight was madness. A great show, I hope by professional standards. My opinion means little, but I want to hear all of yours. Hey, our opinion means exactly as much as yours, and vice versa, my friend. That's the beauty of subjective entertainment. Like Nate saying, buddy, that was a 7-layer beefy episode. It sure was. It sure was. Fid McAwesome says, couldn't have booked a better show. How the hell are we getting this for free every week? Well, since you're saving so much money, just subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. It's just $5 a month. Miguel says, awesome Dynamite today. At least a high 4 out of 5 show. What are 3 matches you guys think might take place at Revolution besides the ladder match? I think Punk MJF, Cole Hangman, maybe Britt Rosa. Either of you all have anything to add to that?
I would say Adam versus Adam for the world title. It seems likely.
Yeah.
I think Punk MJF with the caveat that if Punk wins, Wardlow is free, and then Wardlow beats the crap out of MJF. And I would say Kings of the Black Throne and Jurassic Express.
Alexander.
Yeah, I was trying to think about who I would have go up. I think probably you're gonna, if Eddie's healthy, I think we get to Eddie and Jericho out of all of this. And I was wondering if you would be at all possible to get to Proud and Powerful by that point, going for the tag belts. And if not them, then I think Kings of the Black Throne will take it.
Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be reading all kinds of super chats throughout this show. Might go a little bit over tonight because this is going to be one of the most loaded episodes we've ever had. We're not going to go full Kate and Alex on you or anything.
By the way, no, I wake up and I'm like, they did a show that was longer than NXT. It's a
very nice man from Australia. A very nice man from Australia.
Yes.
paid way too much money over the course of last month
He did.
to get a half hour extra every Tuesday. If we didn't do it, we would be doing a disservice to that very nice man from Australia.
That was the gimmick. This fella said, if I donate more than anybody this month, can they go an extra half hour? And I said, for February, a short month, yes, they can. So you know what? Here we go. Man, Grayman says, what are your thoughts on the current matches on the Crockett Cup 2022? Think a tag team battle royal is a waste of time. No, I don't think it's a waste of time. I think it could be fun. I don't know what's in the 2022 Crockett Cup right now. I need to take a look at it. But let me take a look. Briscoes, TBA, British Invasion, TB. Oh, I love British Invasion being together. Oh, I love that. Nick Aldis and Doug Williams. Rebellion, I like that. Strictly Business versus the Kingdom. I love the Kingdom as a tag team. I think they're really good. I like that. But
I guess the Bouncers find their way in there.
Yeah,
perhaps?
I would. They wanted to work, as we've got an interview that we've had in the can for like 4 months with them. I didn't want to release the interview with the Bouncers because like 2 days later the ROH announcement dropped. But they talked about wanting to do the Crockett Cup, and I would imagine Violence is Forever. Dom Guarini, Kevin Koo would be a good one to have in there as well. Gavin says, love your opinion, Sean, from Ireland, 5 out of 5. Well, thank you, Gavin. And Ray Velez says, subscribe to Fightful Select today. Highly recommended. Totally worth it. I'll plug it enough later on. Don't worry. Brent Lockman says, well. Rec Spec, not so reckless. Hey, Rec Spec isn't happening. We're not calling the show Rec Spec. Reckless Speculation literally says it in the name, and it sounds way sexier than Rec Spec. Rec Spec sounds like you're going to play tennis like at your YMCA or something.
We're saving that for the Bronson Reed retrospective podcast. That's what we're doing.
We're not calling it Rec Spec. But thank you, Brett. Nerd Guru says Ric Flair continues his feud with yelling at clouds today. His obsession over Becky is weird, and he buried Mox and Punk. What a has-been. I hate to say it, man, but like nobody even takes offense to it anymore. They just kind of like go, ah.
He's just another dude with a podcast now, and it's like I saw one that was like, oh, like he doesn't find Johnny Knoxville entertaining, and it's like, okay, sure, because they were a thing from 20 years ago, and he was a thing from 40. Like it's okay.
This legend, Zach Schimmel, who already subscribed to what was a joke tier of Fightful Select, just donated $200. Big thank you, Zach. Says just because Fightful deserves it, no shout outs needed. Give everyone at Fightful, minus Joel and Melissa, who cheat, a pay raise. I will support Fightful till I die. AEW is the best. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
We truly appreciate you guys, especially you, Zach. Again, Zach, hit me with your Twitch account. That way I can plug it on the air, even though you tell me not to all the time. And that's bullshit. Let me plug your Twitch, my man. Miguel says, awesome Dynamite today. At least a 4 or 5 out of... Oh, we read that one. Luis! Anakin says, incredible day. Nintendo gave us new Mario Strikers Earthbound.
Yeah, they did.
Well, I think... God damn.
Yeah.
Someone's excited.
This show is not brought to you by BlueChew.com or the code Fightful. But it says new Mario Kart courses. AEW gave us Jay White, Keith Lee, D being badass, and a great main event. What a hype day. JW Pringles says you watch Raw on Mondays, you watch SmackDown on Fridays, NXT 2.0 on Tuesdays, you watch the premium live events, and what do you get? Nothing, not a damn thing. AEW knocks it out of the park Wednesday after Wednesday. Keep in mind, this is JW Pringle saying this, not me. So don't come at me, or else he's going to have to send one of those mental health super chats soon enough, too, because y'all are making me sad all the time. But I'll tell you what won't make you sad. If you go to nordvpn.com/Fightful, they have made an incredible investment in Fightful and Fightful Select. A 30-day money-back guarantee if NordVPN is not right for you. But let me tell you, my friends, Nord will be right for you. You can avoid all the region blocking. You can surf in peace and safety and security. If you're on the hotel Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi, any of that, hackers can steal your data. Not with nordvpn.com/Fightful, because your internet Traffic is routed through a secure encrypted tunnel that protects your data and privacy, and you can use it on any of your devices, laptop, phone, smart TV, iPad, even your router. I had no idea that was even possible because I am not as technologically as advanced as some of my other co-hosts like Robert, but you know what? It protects me. And not only that, I can access content from over 59 different countries by changing my virtual location with one click. Not only that, when you subscribe to like Netflix in Argentina or BT Sport, instead of buying those expensive UFC pay-per-views, you'll end up paying for yourself by ordering nordvpn.com/Fightful. I love it, man. It has changed the way that I surf, and it's the fastest VPN out there. Definitely, it's probably the sponsor that I use the most, them or Helix, because I'm in my bed 8 hours a day. But I'm anchored to my desk all day. Always got Nord running. NordVPN.com/Fightful. Get an additional month free as well. There's no risk, my friends. There we go. NordVPN.com/Fightful. We're almost into this show. We're already almost through super chats. Zero Fear says, I don't have much to say. The whole show humped. Well, buddy, we love it. We love it. Jonathan McPherson says, we'll need to go back and rewatch the actual wrestling tonight because I was so absorbed with the great episode of TV. Long live all of this. Alex, that's one of the things I like. When AEW is firing on all cylinders, it's just a good television show beyond a good wrestling or sports entertainment show.
Yeah, everything seems to kind of flow in a way that it doesn't feel like, for example, I don't see a lot of people entering and then we go to commercial and then we come back from a commercial and do 3 backstage segments and then we enter the other person and we start the match 17 minutes later. I don't see that happen a lot. It just feels like it's a natural progression of things moving along. It doesn't feel like I'm ever bored or waiting for something to happen. They used to have a problem where they were rushing from segment to segment, and I don't feel like they're doing that either. I think they've really settled into a really good pace.
Yeah, but is AEW presenting the first hour commercial free, Alex?
Guys, even though Zach will probably yell at me, he just sent another $50 super chat. There he goes. He told me his Twitch, but he put it in a $50 super chat. He said, only because you asked. Twitch.tv damn_it's_smidget. That's DAM_ITS_SMIGET. I can't stream because most of my stuff I'm waiting for to arrive for my move. That's why I don't plug it, but he doesn't do it for a plug. Well, you know what, guys? Go follow him anyway. I'm going to leave that down there for a little bit. Sorry, Alex, it'll cover up your name, but I think everybody knows it by now.
I hope so.
But we got the MJF celebration that kicked everything off tonight. We've got the individual entrances, and I got to be real. Those life-size cardboard cutouts fooled me as I would look down at my phone and look up. I'm like, who all's in the ring? And I'm like, oh, those are just life-size cutouts. Wardlow is setting them up. FTR come out with their music. Dax with an ill-fitted suit because he doesn't like dressing like that and was all too excited to get naked later on. We got Sean Spears, who has a dope theme song. And then we get MJF being brought out King Mabel style on the throne. And he's got his 2 seconds. He's got 2 beautiful women with him, one of which Gabby Ortiz, who is now famous from the Thunder Rosa meme, where she's upside down in front of Thunder Rosa's face. And then MJF's shoot girlfriend. And if you didn't know, he made it abundantly clear, Robert.
He sure did. And I mean, MJF is riding high, man. He is in the prime of his career. He's clearly got a beautiful lady by his side. He's got maybe the greatest faction assembled right now. He is everything he says he is, and that just makes him that much more obnoxious, I think.
This segment, what'd you think, Alex?
Man, it's so crazy to say. Like, it's I don't even my top 5 things that happened on the show tonight, but it was also almost perfect. Is that possible? Like, it was just really, really, like, Wardlow coming out with the cardboard cutouts, just walking down to the ring like, I can't believe I'm doing this, and he gets there, sits with the cardboard cutouts, and then Justin Roberts is like, the legendary Tully Blanchard with the greatest tag team in the world, FTR, but Wardlow never got a big introduction. And then when they made Roberts like introduce MJF, and it was this long thing, and he really hated it, and eventually he had to say he beat CM Punk twice in the Midwest. Like all of that, Roberts was great. All of them were just fantastic in this segment. I loved the beginning of this with MJF's promo, and then when the whole thing turned, it got kicked up another notch. It was great.
I loved this. CM Punk came out, and this didn't feel like scripted or manufactured. Like I don't even mind when people trip over their words a little bit in their promos, Robert, because it's like there's genuine anger and emotion there. CM Punk brings out Sting and Darby Allin. And what I love is this didn't have much of anything to do with the fact of the tag match later. It was a bit of a swerve on a show where we're full of surprises anyway. But there was a lot of weaving in and out of segments tonight.
Yeah, and they're friends. And I like that. It's like, no, I learned I'm not stupid. I have friends this time, and they have baseball bats. And here's what we're going to do. You can either give me the match I want, which is a rematch, or, I'm just going to go down there and beat your ass. And by the way, I'm talking to Wardlow because Wardlow beat me, which just incenses MJF.
That was the top moment where he's like, I want a rematch. And then he's like, not you, Wardlow. That's what I want. I was like, oh. But I mean, honestly, if I were CM Punk, I wouldn't want anything to do with that rematch. He got his fucking ass kicked.
Right.
As did Blade. We're going to kind of weave 3 segments in together. Rayo says Wardlow's Batista-style face turn is going to hump. Well, this featured Blade getting offense early. He attacked early. Now, also, we had a super chat that Bako5 says, MJF should see Dr. Britt Baker to get that girl's tonsils out from between his teeth. And Sawyer says, that was a 5-star episode before MJF even finished his entrance. Then who boy. Shazarn says, can I donate 5 more Aussie dollars for Alex and Kate to keep going next month? Also, didn't Punk challenge Wardlow? That got brought up, then missed. It didn't get brought up. He indicated that that's the person he was actually interested in, even though he beat Wardlow, quote unquote,
right,
and lost to MJF. In reality, he knows that he didn't lose to MJF. He did lose to Wardlow.
Right. I think a part of what I got from it was that, like, I want a rematch with the guy who beat me in Chicago. But it wasn't you, MJF.
Yeah.
It was Wardlow.
Sure.
Because if he didn't bring down that ring, you never would have beaten me. And I think that was part of it. And the fact that he was the only one who acknowledged that in the segment, because MJF didn't, Spears didn't, FDR didn't. I thought that was kind of cool. Honestly, when they said you have to find a partner to beat FTR, and if you do, then you can have your rematch. But if not, you got to go away. But it can't be Sting and it can't be Darby. I was like, is Punk going to pick Wardlow? That was my immediate first thought, would be like, that would be amazing. If would you like to get back at your little buddy? Like, that would be really, at least offer him the chance. And then we get to see what Wardlow would do. He didn't do that, obviously, but that was the first thing that went through my mind, because they have set up this whole Wardlow thing so well that I'm always just itching for that moment where he turns. Like, I just can't wait for it. So every time I'm thinking of new and interesting ways for him to do it. I love it.
So then he had the match. Sorry to jump around, guys, but then he had the match, and Blade got some offense in, which is okay because he attacked him early, attacked him low, attacked him from behind. And this went through a commercial break. That's good. Let Wardlow work himself up to some of these longer matches. Then Wardlow eventually gets the win by powerbombing Blade repeatedly, which is what everybody comes to see. Man, when I was a kid, the powerbomb was the move. Now, granted, Kevin Nash and Sid weren't throwing the best ones out there, but still, there was almost nothing that rivaled a good powerbomb, and I love to see that. Liam Daly says, I love Butcher and the Blade. Both are in their 40s, and I don't expect them to be champs, but really enjoy what they bring into AEW, and I miss their podcast. You got to have guys like Butcher and the Blade. You got to have guys, because somebody's got to like be the glue, and somebody's got to help make other people while still appearing on the level to where that can provide something. This match was exactly what it should have been, Robert.
Yeah, this is awesome. Everything Wardlow is doing is working. The only way they can miss is if they prolong it for too long before he turns on MJF. And even then, maybe it just makes people want it more. I don't know if they can miss with this.
Cleo says, I guess AEW can't tell stories, according to Jimmy. That's not what he said. He said that a lot of the mid-card and some of the other contracted talent has been without story. And I do agree with that. James Draws says, that is good AEW. Well, thanks, James.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it is good AEW tonight.
It is good AEW.
I think it's supposed to be read like, that was some good AEW.
Okay. But hey, listen, that's how we're going to do it. That's how we're going to rock it. Chuck Cassis says, Dynamite was amazing. Loved the whole show. On a different note, I have a first date Friday and I'm hella nervous. I need advice. Much love. God bless. Okay. Don't throw up on her.
No, bad.
Don't say mean things.
Mm-hmm.
That's already 2 pieces of advice right there.
Well, and maybe wait before you reveal that you're actually super into wrestling. You know, I mean, ease into that.
Don't seem too eager about the fact that you love wrestling and that you asked 3 wrestling podcasters for dating advice. Don't mention that. That's my advice, is definitely don't. But you know what? Maybe she'll find it charming. I don't think she will.
Never know.
Jambeard says, this Wardlow's first heel versus heel match that shows progression in his eventual face turn. I'd have to go back and look at his.
I'm pretty sure it is, but you know, he's almost full babyface here.
As I'm looking, he's faced some. Yeah, I think it is his first heel match, or at least recently. Yeah. So we had that unfold, and then we had FTR agreeing to face CM Punk and a partner of his choosing, a friend of his choosing, because MJF didn't want to do it. Later on, CM Punk brings out his friend. Now, keep in mind, he's on Twitter saying, Samoa Joe, you in town? What a troll.
Are you in the country?
Yeah, you in the country?
Oh, that's good.
Well, he brings out John Moxley. Get the hose. Get the freaking hose, buddy.
Yeah. This is like, I imagine CM Punk is sitting at home watching AEW before he signs and just goes, yeah, I want to do that. Eventually, I'm just going to do that. And nights like tonight show why he probably loved professional wrestling to begin with. And he got to interact with Tully Blanchard, which who the hell would have ever thought you'd live to see CM Punk and Tully Blanchard interact?
Well, Tom LaValle says, my first thought for Punk's partner is Cabana. Don't know if he's in America yet. Buddy, you stand as much of a chance of Cabana teaming with Punk while he's in Australia as you do in America.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say about that. They're not on good terms. Jambeard says, what is Wilford Brimley's opinion of that opening promo segment between Punk and Pinnacle?
It was so sweet, it gave me diabetes.
Thank you.
Well, this match ruled. I got sold a ticket multiple times on this. There was a one janky spot, and that was Tully Blanchard at 331 years old, attempting to take a GTS. Well, buddy, getting him to stand upright was the toughest part of this. Poor Tully, sandbagging for life.
In fairness, he never went up in a Samoan drop position. Who was going to get him up there? Maybe Hawk or Animal, but they were going to do whatever they wanted.
Oh, my God. Well, I got sold a ticket on the belt shot. I thought that was going to be it.
Me too.
They were going to be like, oh, my God, they beat him. On the roll-up off of the Tully thing, I thought that was going to be it as well. There were some great spots in this match. Just really good tag team wrestling. I mean, I think FTR is the best tag team in the world, bar none. Yeah. Especially, I mean, if we're talking in general, I think it's pretty competitive. If we're talking about teams that, honest to God, follow the rules of tag team wrestling, then there's FTR, and then on a completely different page, there's everybody else. But the Doomsday Device was magnificent. Chris Rain super chatted about that. I just love the presentation of them, Alex. Daniel R says, I freaking love their theme. It's great. It sounds right out of the 80s. Moxley's the best. Glad he's healthy. Doesn't owe me anything. Sorry, Bully Ray, but he's the best. This was great tag team wrestling, and I'm okay with two of the best singles wrestlers on earth as portrayed by AEW beating this tag team, especially with all the convoluted stuff that happened.
Me too. I mean, let's be honest. Moxley has a history of being a great tag team wrestler in his past. And Punk is really trying to win because it means so much more to him to get that victory. So I'll allow for it that way. And also a lot of the extraneous stuff that ended up screwing themselves over was introduced by FTR. They were doing stuff if they had just wrestled a straight up tag match, they probably might have beat them. But they were like, let's introduce this thing and do stuff outside the ring and all extraneous stuff. If they hadn't done that, maybe they would have won. I like the psychology of that too. They kept on trying to get to that GTS and paradigm shift spot and they finally did, and it was great. There was one moment that I didn't love that it kind of made Dax look bad, as he was standing right there next to the pinfall, and Mox took too long to get back in the ring, and he kind of had to wait for him. But other than that, I thought this thing was almost note perfect. It was a great match, and it might not have been my favorite match on the show. This was such a great top to bottom episode of Dynamite. It's hard to pick out something that I loved more than anything else.
This was my favorite match on the show.
Hold on, Nerd Guru says the GTS paradigm shift combo was chef's kiss. Robert, how did you feel about like the cohesion of Moxley and Punk, who aren't a standard team?
They're not a standard team, but they are two guys who are kind of cut from the same cloth. Punk has the tag team history with Cabana and stuff like that. He's tag team champions with Kofi. Mox was one of the Shield, so it's not like he doesn't know how to do this. And I'll allow it because I'm sure they were all chomping at the bit to work together.
Yeah.
And Punk had to win this and did. And they made it look damn good. This was tag team wrestling at its best. The spot where Cash twists Punk's knee because Dax pushes him to the floor. That's just so good. It's the best wrestling match on the show.
I really like Irene's super chat here. Very into Brian likely feeling betrayed that Mox teamed with Punk a week after he invites him in to run this place in Dynamite. So much potential. Irene, I love this because it's one of those little things that can launch a feud. It's just amazing. Sawyer says, speaking of dating advice, get yourself someone who loves you as much as FTR loved the tag rope. Every team should love the tag rope. And every ref should make sure it should be an arranged marriage between every tag team and the tag rope.
Yeah.
And like the referee is making sure it happens. It should always be the case. Jambeard says, take some Blue Chew on your first date. Bako5 says, if you're going on a first date, make sure you're as slick as a baby seal. Get yourself a Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped. Code Fightful. Again, not sponsoring this show. Neither one of them. Think of some Nord or some Helix stuff. You want to bed them down? Make sure you use helixsleep.com/Fightful. Impress them. She'll be like, God, he really invested in this. What is about to happen? She'll be very impressed. Evangelina Gray says, never mind me jamming out to FTR's entrance twice in one night. Isn't it wonderful when we don't have to hear a word out of Dan Lambert's mouth? Yes!
Yeah.
We'll talk about that when we get to the main event, but I was like, that was...
Do we have to?
I mean, we can mention it, the fact that he was there and actually did something to help his client,
yes,
which wasn't talking.
And did great.
Yeah.
Did great. Jambeard says, I love the fact that a small detail of this was that Punk was a straight edge guy picking a freshly sober Mox.
That's good stuff too.
C says, seeing Mox, Brian, and Punk in a whole new team would hump. I mean, there was a point several years where we didn't think 2/3 of those guys would ever wrestle again. So
I'm pretty sure Punk was just happy to be in the ring with Mox and not shit himself. So, there's that.
Matthew says, a masterpiece Mid-South wrestling tag match by surprise in the middle of the show. All-time great episode of Dynamite. Tony got them in with the promise of surprises, then showcased how AEW can literally do everything. Tony posted a very interesting note on the surprises, in which we're going to talk about in a bit. But Brendan says, love the tag match. People seem to forget that Moxley never lost the AEW title fairly. Omega had to cheat to beat that guy. Oh, he hasn't forgotten that.
That's
though.
right.
And Bryan Danielson didn't forget that either, because Bryan Danielson mentioned it in the promo. Nobody else on the show is talking about it, but Bryan Danielson talked about it, and I think there's a reason for it. Signed 87 says, Mox, Punk, Danielson stable. That's what I want from this. I think that would be fantastic. I love that.
Yeah, I the thing about Danielson is this the way that he's doing stuff. Trying to get Mox to go along with him. I love the idea of him seeing Mox and Punk teaming together and him getting jealous in some way and saying like, oh, you know what? Remember how I was saying that I wanted you to be world champ and I'd be TNT champ? I kind of thought better of that, and I think I'd like to be AEW world champ. So why don't you go hang out with your new best buddy CM, and I'm going to take these guys I recruited and we're going to come for your neck. How about that? I think there's really cool stuff you could do.
Brian's not that petty. Brian's going to look at this and go, see, Punk gets it. Punk is a similar minded guy, so you're getting on board. I don't think Brian is that petty.
James says, I heard that Tony is requesting Danielson work on mentoring Jade. Thoughts? Well, a couple weeks ago, Jade Cargill was on Grapsity, the fantastic Grapsity show that airs every Saturday here on Fightful with Will Washington and Righteous Reg, who are featured on the new AEW album, as well as Phil Lindsay. And she said she's been working with Bryan Danielson, which leads me to say, watch the fuck out, because that's bonkers. That's just... And not only that, the fact that she's doing it, I love it. And Bryan Danielson has a lot of pride in his work, and I'm sure a lot of pride in the work of someone that he tutors and mentors. True. Cadillac Carson says, if you're going on a first date and her plan is to try to hack your internet, you might need a good VPN to help protect yourself. NordVPN.com/Fightful. Well, if you're on that first date, you better bring some protection, because you never know where the night will lead. It might lead you out of your home region, and you might want to watch some of those region block shows with NordVPN.com/Fightful. Zach Schimmel, you madman. He says, SRS is the true Fightful champion. I'm passing out now. My God. Miva La Madre says, thanks. Well, thank you for the super chat. And Valab says, Zach Schimmel's better than me. And I know it. Zach, we keep getting humper chats about your smile, Robert. Zach says another $5 just to see you smile.
Well, that's great. I'll take it. Thank you.
It's enough to warm even the coldest of hearts. Well, it warms my heart, so yes, it is.
Oh, that's nice.
Bako 5 says, what stip do you think Punk and MJF will have in their rematch?
Steel cage, at least.
Yeah, I would like for them to go something old school, like an old school steel cage. Listen, hear me out. I would love AEW to bring like a blue bar steel cage in.
Punk you don't want to bump in a blue bar steel cage.
Of course you don't. That's the thing. Like, everybody knows how violent it is now. Brendan says, trios match, Punk, Mox, Danielson versus Proud and Powerful and Eddie Kingston, who feels betrayed by Mox. Oh yeah. Eddie Kingston familiarizes himself with a couple of people that he knows he can rely on. And that's what I like. Andrade's backstage. He meets Sting and Darby Allin. I loved this Andrade promo, Alex. I even like Sting being like, he's not a kid. He works for himself. And both he and Darby Allin, both Andrade and Darby Allin saying, I'm going to be the next TNT champion. And Andrade's like, you're going to work for me. Like his accent, even like his slowly recited English, I think adds to this. It's calculated. He's making sure that you understand exactly what he says, so there's no confusion. You will work for me one day. And Sting goes, sounds like he means it, bud. Good luck. I like this, Alex.
I did too. The thing I like the most about it is Andrade putting a little bass in his very soft voice when he says, I am going to be the next TNT champion. Which I mean, you want to talk about a guy who I want to see wrestle brand new opponents every 2 weeks for like 6 months. Andrade's that guy because he could put together some bangers with just about anybody. So like I would love it if that was where that we wound up. But the fact is that there's also 4 or 5 other guys probably going to be in that ladder match that I'm be like, you know what? If they wanted, it wouldn't be so bad either. So I'm very, very excited for where we're going with that.
I dug this promo. We got a super chat from Jambeard saying, give me a TNT ladder match of Lee, Wardlow, Sky, Andrade, Darby, 2 others, hopefully Miro. Like off the top of my head, there are so many good options for that ladder match.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of them. Rerun says, loving this metal lucha bastard cheerleader corner of the AEW universe. And Daniel says, would love Death Triangle to be some sort of offshoot because of the House of Black. Not sure if I can explain it, but I guess I like Black's hired guns. Robert, how'd you feel about this?
Great. I mean, Andrade saying you're going to work for me and finally saying I'm going to be champion. That's what wrestling boils down to. You need to be champion to be somebody. I love that he just doesn't get over. No, Sting does not control Darby. It's like he can't fathom somebody not working for anyone else. They can just work for themselves.
Well, his last 2 super chats were in regards to Penta. Ray Velez says, I'm excited for Penta Oscuro. And Lord Jackson says, that was the most Dynamite episode to ever Dynamite. We got Lee White, that tag, even a second woman's match, and holy shit, Pentagon Dark. I like Pentagon switching to Pentagon Dark. In the meantime, if Ray's out for a while, it makes all the sense in the world to me. What doesn't make all the sense in the world to me is Chris Jericho demanding that this Inner Circle meeting happen in the ring in front of a crowd. This is why I always say, if you are a wrestling company and you have somebody come out to the ring to cut a promo, send an interviewer. Because if they walk out on an elevated stage in front of thousands of people and go, here are my problems with this person, people are usually going to say, we don't care, quit bitching, go settle it somewhere else. Unless they are scheduled for an interview and that person is prompted and says, why do you have this issue with this person? Well, they are then prompted and it seems less whiny. Chris Jericho, however, in this situation, I think it works because Chris Jericho's character is such an egomaniac, Alex. I can just see your heart swelling with pride over how I'm analyzing this right now. He's such an egomaniac, and all of his buddies know it too. They're like, we could have done this somewhere else. They didn't say it verbally. And I think the reason that LAX didn't say it verbally or Proud and Powerful is because they rarely get the opportunity to say things verbally. So if they gotta capitalize on this opportunity to take a mic from Jericho and say, hey, shut your mouth while I'm talking, they're gonna do it. Alex, I'm sitting here saying first crack at it. I barely tapped the egg. You can crack it open.
So this was my favorite thing that happened on the show. Because to me, I was still so scared of where this might go.
Of course.
And it came off perfect. Like if I had said, okay, so what is your dream for how this thing would go? You write it out. Somebody told that to me. I would have written this. Jake Hager never spoke a word. He just stood by Jericho the whole time looking menacing. That's what he should be. He should be that guy. Like I think that's a really great role for him. I love Jericho coming down as an egomaniac, a narcissist. We're going to have this thing out. Everyone's going to tell me how great I am and that they still want to be my friend in the middle of my throng of singing fans. That's what a narcissist would do. That makes sense. Sammy's there because he's Jericho's buddy still. And then Santana and Ortiz come down to their own music and they stand across from them. And Santana has an amazing promo. And he kept on saying, I don't know why you're raising that mic to your lips, Jericho. It's not your time to talk yet. I'm still talking. That was so great because it built to with a fantastic promo that actually said, every time you get in trouble, we got to put everything else on hold and come save your ass. Am I lying? Like, that was so great. He said to the people, am I wrong about this? No, everyone's like, no, you're not. This was so good. And then he says, now, I know I've been talking a lot, but here's what you need to do. You need to thank my man Ortiz right now. Because if it wasn't for him, I would have dropped your ass a long time ago. Now you may speak. Like, everything that Santana did was so perfect. And then you had Sammy trying to play peacemaker, but Jericho snaps him. You know what? Says Sammy, I don't need this. I'm trying to focus on being the best TNT champ in the world. I'm out. I mean, if you guys figure this out, maybe I'll come back, but I'm out. And then we get this stare down with Ortiz getting a great promo on Jericho, and Jericho being all up in his feelings. Like, you have to be my best friend because I say so. You know what? Let's have a fight. And then after we beat you, then maybe you'll see reason. And when he says, after we smack the taste out of your mouth, Santana turns to the camera and starts cutting like he's on an episode of The Office, doing takes to the camera. It was beautiful. There was more personality seen from Santana or Ortiz in this segment than they've been allowed to show in the entirety of the Inner Circle. This was so great. I loved everything about this. Now, the only thing that actually makes this work is if Santana or Ortiz win next week. Because if they lose, then the whole thing goes back.
And that's the problem, pal. I don't think they're going to win next week. We'll see. But I'm not sold that this isn't just, hey, I'm elevating you because I'm letting you, rip me to shreds, but I'm still going to beat you because I'm Chris Jericho. And that's it.
So,
by the way, does anyone actually believe that Jake Hager would have either Homicide or Hernandez on speed dial?
Let me get to that super chat. Mike Preventer said there's a 0% chance Hager has Homicide's number. Incorrect. They were both in the Battle Riot in MLW together in 2018. Also, Jake Hager competed against Hernandez in 2 matches on Lucha Underground. He knows them.
Yes.
I guess. I still don't buy for a second that he would have their numbers on speed dial.
I did think that Ortiz's stuff seemed a little bit more like rehearsed, and like it needs to be a little bit more natural. Santana is definitely the leader on the promo there. But Anakin said Santana rivaled Britt with those camera looks. They were very different camera looks than what we see out of Britt Baker. I'm Malucha says, can't wait to see Proud and Powerful kick Jericho's ass. That's go away heat. Jericho, please read the writing on the wall. Well, Sammy says, I'm tired of dealing with this. I want to be the greatest champion ever. If you guys don't get this shit sorted out, I'm hitting the bricks just like I hit the bricks before. So he's made himself clear here. Now, we were saying in May, they should have split up anyway. They should have. If this is a launching pad for Santana and Ortiz, then okay. So 9 months, okay, that's a bummer. But if it's a launching pad for them, great. Because Hager's it's not going to work as a launching pad for Hager. Jericho doesn't need the launching pad, and Sammy doesn't need the launching pad. Santana and Ortiz does.
Yep.
Dante says Santana is one of the best talkers in all of AEW. Very natural.
Yeah, he was very good in this.
Liam says, shout out to you gents for great work as always. I love Chris Jericho. He's the GOAT and the reason I flock to AEW, but it feels like he's come off the rails and isn't must-see for me anymore. And I think in character, his teammates recognize that as well. Brent Lockman says, I don't need the Inner Circle war. It's a natural story. It's natural progression. I'm rooting for...
If it ends quickly and the right people win, then I'm fine.
And I'm Jar, actually, that's a different super chat area. Robert Aquatic says, can't get enough of Andrade right now. He's doing great work.
Yeah.
And Eloquent says, as much as I'm glad Proud and Powerful look to leave Inner Circle, I'm glad Jericho brought up that he had nothing to do with them losing their one title shot to the Bucks. Yeah, Jericho brought that up. He brought up, oh, you did get a title shot like a year ago.
Yeah, a year ago. And they seemed to be in prime position to get a title shot from the Lucha Bros. But whoops, Jericho picked a fight with Dan Lambert's friends, so now they got to back him up in a 5-on-5 Minneapolis street fight instead. And that's their point. They were all primed to be. They were in the top 5 of the rankings, but they couldn't wrestle regular tag matches because they had to go and back up Jericho's behind. And I think that actually rings true as well. I liked it.
Daniel says Santana versus Gresham at Terminus is going to be fire at will. I like the way that Terminus is booking their stuff. And Jambeard says, do you think that Jericho brings in a new team to replace Proud and Powerful and Inner Circle turns heel again? Maybe a team like AOP. I haven't heard anything on the AOP front.
It's so sad because those guys were really special in my eyes.
They were.
But I mean, I can't imagine it's them considering we haven't heard anything about them, but I would not put it past Jericho to recruit somebody new to replace those guys.
Yeah, I'd like to see them move on
I
past
do too.
the inner circle.
I would too, but I wouldn't put it past Jericho to do it.
Yeah, it's just not gonna work for me anymore.
Yep.
Cambeard says, on top of getting slicked up with the Manscaped tool and taking some Blue Chew, when you get her home, use NordVPN to get you some of that Netflix outside the USA. Then bed her on a Helix bed, and you can both have some Magic Spoon in the morning. Good job. Good job. You left out athletic greens, and let me tell you, you want to make sure your multivitamin is digested. You don't want to have an upset stomach. Grayman Media talks about the cup or the Crockett Cup and says, why not Ugly Ducklings, Grunt Style, Rock and Roll Express, Good Brothers, or FTR? Then the winner gets the NWA tag belts. I don't know what NWA is paying, but I mean, AEW had to pay for their own women to work an NWA show. So I think that's probably why. And I don't know how much of an integration there is with Impact and NWA on a monthly basis anymore. Riga says, if Santana and Ortiz win next week, it feels a little soon. If Jericho cheats to win and extends it a little to make their victory a little bigger and really chattered the inner circle, perhaps culminating in the pay-per-view, that feels fine. I disagree.
Nope. That is too much WWE booking. They need to win next week. Otherwise, it's not going to matter.
Yes, I think they need to win first crack. First crack at it, they let him go. Robert, I think that would make them look like more of a threat, like everything that they've been complaining about is rooted in realism.
Oh, yeah, and they're the better team. Jericho and Hager, they're not a great established tag team.
I would not, here's something they might do, is they might have Jericho try to cheat to win, like you get the bat or something, and he is foiled by Eddie Kingston, which allows Proud and Powerful to get the victory, and then you have the Eddie Kingston and Jericho blow-off singles match. That might be what they do.
Bako 5 asks if the Briscoes are getting into AEW. Haven't heard of anything since the time they were backstage. Alicia says, not looking forward to when more AEW contract expire, and Twitter goes crazy saying it's the same thing as WWE batch releases. Okay, so usually I don't even dignify that. I mean, I dignify a lot of stupid shit on Twitter, but this is one of those. It's like, if you're even bothering to make that argument, like you don't want to hear. I mean, sports contracts are for a specific amount of time. And if at the end, if it's a mutually agreed upon thing, you can extend it. And if it's not agreed upon either side, you can leave or you can go elsewhere. That's the nature of contracts. Some of them expire. You move on. You go to a different team. Hiring people, getting them to move from a different continent around the world, then cutting them loose in a few months, having them sell their wrestling schools, having them quit their day jobs, and then firing them in a couple of months and then saying, well, here's 90 days. That's not the same. It's not the same. It's just not the same. Dante says, with an influx of new signings coming to AEW the next few months, do you see any of the following guys getting lost in the shuffle? Starks, Hobbs, Dante, the Acclaimed. The Acclaimed, maybe. Hobbs, maybe. Ricky, absolutely not. Dante, absolutely not, because his brother will be back before long. I just wish Leo would have hung around and they could have saw that through.
Me too.
Rangers Mayhem said, didn't Jericho and Hager already beat Proud and Powerful when they were deciding who was the top tag team in the inner circle? I can't even remember back
Isn't that
that
Jericho
far.
and MJF because it was Sammy Hager?
Yeah.
Because Jericho thought that was hilarious.
Yes.
That was
there
it.
you go.
Yeah.
Surprise number one. First off, this feud will never end because now they've added Rocky Romero and Jay White to it.
Yeah.
And backstage or outside, you got Beretta and Rocky, and they're talking some trash. And the Young Bucks are there. Adam Cole are there. They beat him up. And they say, oh, look who's here. And it's Switchblade Jay White. Now, I'm not going to reread the tweet storm that a very excited Tony Khan went on Friday night, but he mentioned Forbidden Door, debut, free agent signing. And then tonight, Tony Khan posted the following tweet. And I got to say, hats off to him. Instead of correcting himself and saying, hey guys, I screwed up. I didn't really mean Forbidden Door, because the Forbidden Door was a term coined by Hiroshi Tanahashi to reference New Japan to AEW, and has since been sort of flexed to mean other companies to other companies if you're under contract, sharing talent, etc., etc. Tony Khan said, I didn't secure Jay White until Sunday. I realized after the fact on Friday, I butchered my own definition of the Forbidden Door in hyping tonight. I heard the fans' feedback and wanted to ensure that tonight was special Dynamite for all. Thank you to everyone who watched. Man, there have been plenty of things to criticize Tony Khan about over the last couple of months. Got to give him an incredible amount of credit for doing this, Robert. One of the best lines I've ever heard, I mentioned it today. Bruce Pritchard says, if you're going to have a replacement, you got to over-deliver. Tony Khan had an error, and he's like, well, let me step it up. Let me fix it as best I can. I thought this is pretty good.
I think this is about as good of a Forbidden Door entry as you can get. Jay
Right
White
now, yeah,
is Mr. Bullet Club. Adam Cole, Young Bucks, so many of the guys in AEW were Bullet Club. This was awesome. I can't wait to see where this goes. I want Jay White to sign with them eventually, whenever he's free to do so.
Oh, in like 2047 or whatever.
In like 50 years, he can sign.
He tells me that he doesn't have like some like insane contract, but Voices of Wrestling insists that he does. I guess we'll see. We got a lot of super chats about this. Fightful Trainee says, we'll finally get the payoff for the end of Slammiversary. I am still so confused by that. Patrick says, how long is Jay White here for? Well, he's in the States. Like, he does the New Japan US shows all the time. Chris Rain says, Jay freaking White, credit to reckless speculation. Sean Ross Sapp. I mean, I'll take all the credit and none of the responsibility. I think everybody's angling for credit for Keith Lee and Jay White because everybody speculated it. So there you go. I Am Malucha said, give me Switchblade and GOD versus the Elite versus Undisputed for the trios titles, please. Alex, that's kind of what I want to see unfold here. But considering this was put together Sunday, I doubt that it will. There's still some unresolved Bullet Club Elite stuff here that I want to see. More than that, I want to see Tama Tonga get on Twitter and show his ass and cuss at people some more. but what did you think about Switchblade Jay White?
I did love this, and then also the promo afterwards that they did, with Brandon start rolling. That whole, like, you could have like told us that you were doing this. Like, don't worry. Hey guys, this is me. It's Adam, your buddy Adam. You got to trust me, man. And then he leaves like, Brandon, do you know about this? I think I read about it on Reddit. And
I love it.
That was just so great. Listen, the thing about this is there are what I love about AEW so often gives us something. And then I look at it and I go, well, there's like 8 or 9 branching stories you could do from this moment forward, as opposed to, well, this happens. Oh, and then this obviously happens. And then this obviously will eventually happen. Like, it feels like I honestly don't know what they're doing. They're planting seeds of like Jay White and Kenny Omega like hate each other. So like there's that thing that's going on. The Bucks are kind of confused about whether or not they like it. Adam Cole's super on board. We don't know what Red Dragon feels about this whole thing because Kyle's home with his baby. Like, who knows what happens when they show back up? All of these things could be very combustible in a lot of different ways, and I'm very excited.
Jarl Azul says, in the words of Ollie Davis, Bullet Club to AEW confirmed. The Corey said that Tony brought up the Tony tweet. I like the transparency. I appreciate that. Chris Rain says, so is Tama Tonga going to keep teasing us on Twitter? His GIF response to Bullet Club for life was awesome. I mean, Adam Cole wasn't around for the fracture.
That's what I was going to say. Adam Cole brings Jay White to AEW, which he's taking credit for, but he wasn't around for that, which means to me, who just overreads into everything, well, he just wants to get at the Bucks and Kenny because they tried to kill him, and he hasn't forgotten that. So now he's going to let them fight each other while the Undisputed Era forms a stronger unit, and they eventually take over everything. Oh, and by the way, this plays into the main event as well.
Yes. Jackalope J says, where's Red Dragon? They reformed weeks ago, but still haven't had a match and are no longer hanging with AC. Kyle O'Reilly had a child recently, so I'd imagine he's taking some time off there. Eloquent Switchblade Cole, Kenny, Bucks conundrum will be amazing to watch unravel. Can't wait. Hoping and assuming Jay White remains a part of this show because Jay White is a television star. Johan says, amazing Dynamite. The roster is stacked. Did I miss something about the announcement, or was that meant to be Jay White? No, it was Keith Lee signing a contract with AEW, which we'll get into momentarily. Nerd Guru, Jay White being involved tosses a huge curveball in the Elite because now there's 3 different areas: Omega side, Cole side, White side. All we need is Finn. I'm gonna try to dig up some info and see when's the deal up.
Now, by the way, there's that other guy, Cody Rhodes, who's just walking around without a contract. He could be Bullet Club if he wants.
Gallows and Anderson are on good terms with AEW. God is working Impact stuff.
They're working against the Good Brothers on the 19th. I mean, that's Bullet Club. Yeah.
And to me, a lot of the parts to that sum are so much more great when they are integrated together. I mean, there's a few people in that I don't have really interest in watching their programs or teams unless it's something like this that plays off the history that helped launch All In and launch AEW. Lockman says, Cole brought in White, Red Dragon, and all people who have issues with the Elite in the past. Fun times ahead. Because he's either oblivious or he's cunning about it. Robert, like you're mentioning, either he's really innocent, which doubt it, or he's like, let me fuck with these guys. Nikolai says, what a show. So happy for Keith Lee. He looked great. Pop for Switchblade and Tama Tonga reacting to AEW clips on Twitter is getting me hyped for whatever's coming down the road. I mean, you can trace back AEW and sort of some of the roots to Bullet Club, quite frankly, and what emerged from that. So
I would love, honestly, because the story was out there that Triple H offered them BTE on the network and all that. I would love for Adam Cole to go, I put in a good word for you with Triple H, somebody who's very close to me, and you turn that down because you think you're going to try to ruin my life? Oh no.
You could be getting thrown down the stairs by Harland if you had played your cards right. Valab says, remember when Cody said Bullet Club is mine? I mean, fine. There you go. Mm-hmm. Mark Losper says, my God, now I want Devitt here so bad. And to me, that's the most interesting in Finn Balor I would be in a long time as well.
Where is he? For real.
Chilling in the cut. Robert says, OMG, Cole is going to bring in Ibushi, isn't he? To me, that's the ultimate trump card for Kenny Omega in the future. And Kenny doesn't bring him in. Somebody brings Ibushi in, whether it be to reunite with Omega or just to throw Omega off, because that is his soft spot. Kota Ibushi is his soft spot. Jorge Sandoval says, what a show. Maybe seeing future Bullet Club with Cole, Fish, and Kyle versus the Elite. My boy Robert looking hella suave. God damn. People telling you how pretty you are.
Thank you.
Robert says, any chance for Omega Young Bucks, Cole Red Dragon, White God trios match? Tear the Forbidden Door off the hinges. Thanks, Team Fightful. They did War Games with multiple teams a few years ago, Alex. I don't see why they can't do it like this.
Why not?
Who won that match?
Why not 3-on-3-on-3? Yeah.
Just saying, who won that match?
Not the Bullet Club. I guarantee you that. Nate says, Cole was dead. He doesn't know what happened. Could you imagine if people on wrestling shows or just in real life return from the dead at any degree near what television does? Every drama series I watch has somebody that you thought was dead, but you didn't watch the explosion close enough.
Yeah.
Got to start paying attention to those. Stuplexer says, was not expecting both Jay White and Keith Lee. Well, then you should have subscribed to FightfulSelect.com, because this afternoon I did Reckless Speculation on the Listen Your Boy, and I mentioned, hey, not only am I hearing that Keith Lee is coming in, I'm hearing that Jay White might be. I'm hearing multiple surprises. Subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. Says, so excited for what both can do. Very interested to see where they go with White, Cole, Omega. Would pay infinite money to see Omega and Bucks versus Cole and Red Dragon versus White and Gorillas of Destiny. And listen, I love Gorillas of Destiny, but Robert, how often do you have people saying, give me this God dream match?
Not very often. And right now, they're doing one in Impact, and the other ones are waiting for them in AEW.
And Jay White is on Rampage this week. Vasily says, meantime, Cody's going to walk into the ring for the segment Walk with Rhodes. I did see, I believe it was Garrett Kidney that said that Cody should have been revealed as the signing, then the real signing interrupted him. That would have been good heat. We are finally past the Jay White thing, but still getting your super chats. It's the little $ below, or go to humperchats.com. They'll let you read or get your question or statement in. We'll read it. We'll answer it. J Pixor says, what if Hager turns and Jericho is out? Well, if Hager does turn, Alex, I want to see him completely split. But honestly, I'm not that into a Jake Hager singles run unless he leans into the Lambert stable, like maybe somehow. I think he and Archer could be maybe good as a team. But honestly, I'm like, let's just kind of keep Hager and Jericho together.
Yeah, I think that Hager just backing up Jericho and, doing whatever Jericho's doing this and also starring Jake Hager is, I think, the perfect role for him. Like, it doesn't have to be much more than that.
Daniel R says, who should challenge Britt Baker at Revolution? Don't see many challengers except Rosa. My hope is Serena Deeb. She seems like she could put on a great show with Baker, then build Deeb back up and have her win the Owen Hart Cup. I like that idea. Jade is firmly your champion. Britt is firmly your champion, and Rosa's next. I mean, I don't want to see a hasty 2 or 3 week build to Thunder Rosa. And I know that stretching it out to Double or Nothing, a lot of people don't want that either. I do. I think that Deeb would be good.
Who's tops in the rankings right now? Who's in the top 3?
So
Robert!
Right now it's Layla, Thunder Rosa, Red Velvet, Anna Jay, and another heel. So
there's not enough time, but something that I would genuinely love is for Mercedes Martinez to win 4 or 5 matches and get in that spot. And Britt's like, great, my hired enforcer, you're going to just lay down for me. Like, no, I'm not. I want that belt, Chica. And then you actually have that would be really cool. And then that would cause Jamie Hayter to have to step in. We get those matches. And then Jamie Hayter says to Britt, you know what? Screw you. I'm leaving. And that way we get Britt versus Thunder Rosa by herself. She doesn't have Jamie to throw in front of Thunder Rosa anymore. There could be stuff there,
Unless they do the Jamie match at Revolution, I think it should be Anna. Anna's on the rankings.
Sure.
She already beat Red Velvet.
Yeah.
There's no other baby faces. I think that match can work.
Didn't she already lose to Britt a few months ago though?
In a Dynamite match, or a Rampage match.
I would have been pre-death match.
So Serena wins the 5-minute challenge, the Professor 5-minute challenge. Chris Rain says, I like that challenge. Hopefully it means we see a lot more Serena Deeb. Well, she's 3-0 this year now, as far as I know. And Shot Kid says, love the rookie challenge. If she doesn't sign with WWE, I think Roxy would be perfect to be the rookie to finally beat Deeb. Well, she'd be a rookie to them.
Right.
But I think WWE's going to hire Roxy. I think she's headed there for sure. Rashad says, I want the Deeb's challenge, then, now, forever. Do it with spare showtime. Do it during picture-in-picture. Just more Deeb, please. I love it, Alex. Jonathan McPherson says that it's great because the whole angle will take about 15, 20 minutes start to finish. Build her over whoever beats her perfectly. That's why I think, even if they do it short-term and put her in there with Britt, even though they're both heels, people are invested in these two.
Right.
Britt can say stuff like, I'm not a rookie. And then when she beats Serena Deeb, she can go back to beating rookies. And then Serena can win the Owen. I think there's a clear path to capitalize, to doing a good story, a title match, rebuilding Serena, and then setting her up for another big run.
Have they done a triple threat for the women's title ever?
Not that I know.
I don't think so. I think
because
that's a good idea.
That might be a good one to get Serena Deeb in there and have Britt realize that if she has to fight Serena Deeb by herself, she's gonna lose. So she's like, triple threat. I also challenge Anna Jay. And then you could have that thing right there, and then you could have Britt trying to make sure that She doesn't let Serena Deeb beat Anna Jay, but also keep Serena Deeb out of the ring so I can beat Anna Jay. Like, there could be a fun thing there. One of my favorite matches the Revival ever had in NXT was when there was a triple threat between them, DIY, and AOP, and how they reacted to a different heel team that they knew could kick their ass was so fascinating to me. I would love to see Britt Baker do that kind of work with Serena Deeb.
And realistically, you can put Anna in the ring with Serena and make it work, because Anna's only had 30 matches total.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. Zach Schimmel says, not the best, but 2 women's matches. Just saying, I'll take the progress. I'll take the effort. We got some additional segments as well. Reminder, guys, his Twitch is down below. Please follow it. Support him in any way that you can. Nerd Guru says, if NXT 2.0 fails, do you think AEW adds a Tuesday show? They got one. They already got one.
Yes.
Dark Elevation. Gosh, which is it? It's Dark that airs on Tuesday. Yeah. Elevation.
And even if NXT 2.0 fails, you got the Alex Kincaid show for 2.5 hours. So what do you need that
We'll
for?
just talk about anything else.
Oh my God. They'll talk about whatever interview I did that day. It'll be a 15-minute interview and the show will go 3 hours. Riga says, any idea how long Sheeta's project has her away for? Because her returning eventually as a challenger after a streak of 5-minute challenge matches seems like a good spot to pick after that, pick up down the line after it's had time to breathe. I mean, I don't want Sheeta gone for months, but I think it does need a lot of time to breathe. And like I said, I think there's a clear path to beating rookies, wrestling, and I like the triple threat idea, then winning the Owen Cup.
Yeah.
Then Sheeta comes back. I think that would be really, really good. C, you said, did your super chat of Deeb not get read? We will have Luis hunt that down, and I will make sure that it gets read. Jay says, how about most of this card was a surprise and we saw the TBS champ on TBS? Yes, we did. We saw Jade Cargill, and she did really well. Now, we're not going to say AQA is like the most technically refined wrestler in the world. There was one awkward spot where she was on the top rope and then just kind of hopped down. But, buddy, she's got people saying, sign her now. Mike Preventure, too, said, sign her now, give her the Ricky Starks treatment. And a lot of people talking about the Shooting Star Press. Cyanide says, the Shooting Star Press was the thing of beauty. Chris says she's got an amazing one. First time seeing her. To me, Robert, this is a talent that you look at and you get under some kind of deal because you see something's there eventually. I don't even know if it's a full-time deal, but you get something there.
I believe NXT thought the same thing because they had her under contract, pushed her quickly at the dying days of the Black and Gold because they could see that she has immense talent. And if nothing else, that Shooting Star is a thing of beauty. That is about as good as Matt Sydal did it when he was Evan Bourne. That is a great looking move, and they need to sign her quick. For a company that gets a lot of complaints about diversity, that's a signing that's ready made for you.
She used that in her first match. She used that Shooting Star Press to get an upset victory over Toni Storm when Toni Storm was kind of being pushed in NXT, and then they did nothing with it. Like, they never capitalized it ever, and then she was released. So, big surprise.
And then Tony was released.
Yeah, then Tony was released as well. I think she's got an incredibly bright future. One of the things that I love about her so much is her selling and her bumping. The way she's sold for just being beat around the outside of the ring, like she just couldn't quite get her legs under her, like kind of a thing. And then my favorite thing, she took a tour of the islands. She took Jeff Cobb's tour of the islands from Jade Cargill, which was awesome. And she was out. And she was just dead weighted up into the position for the Jaded. And she woke up from unconsciousness while traveling toward the mat. And you could see her wake up and go, oh shit. Like, it was just so great to watch her eyes recognize she was about to be knocked out for a second time in less than a minute. Like, she has a great capacity for being able to tell the story of getting beaten up with her eyes. Like, that's a big skill a lot of people don't have.
Also, you have Jade Cargill working somebody who hasn't worked a ton of television.
Yeah.
AQA hasn't worked a bunch of matches herself. They've never worked together before, and they're doing it on live TV. So that talks about the confidence that Tony Khan has in Jade right now. Jan Beard says, now that we have the Limitless one, do we get Mrs. Limitless one coming to AEW anytime soon? Would love to see her be the one to beat Jade.
That's a slam dunk and a half. I hope so.
I would be shocked if Mia Yim signs with AEW. Nerd Guru says, I was a Jade hater. She has won me over. She rules. Man, it's incredible. And to plug Grapsody again a couple weeks ago, I'll probably isolate that interview soon in case any of you missed it. But please check out that show in general. She gets it. She understands it. Sometimes just people who aren't in the business nonstop, they get things on a fundamental level because they're not jaded by a lot of the tropes and things, and they just get it. Brent says, never heard of AQA before tonight, but she was impressive. Hope she's sticking around. I would imagine after the reception tonight, she would be.
Yeah.
Shot Kid says, who got more airtime, AKA on that, or AQA on that gorgeous shooting star press, or Isaiah on the beeliest of beals that have ever been bealed? AQA is the one getting all the love because, unfortunately, Isaiah was overshadowed.
Yeah.
Here's the super chat from C. It says, I love seeing Mommy Deeb in anything nowadays. She's become one of my favorites. This is how technical her wrestling is. No one touches her. She is a wrestler's wrestler.
Yeah.
Wrestlers love watching her wrestle. Anakin says, the move Jade did before her finish was gnarly. Yeah, it was the Tour of the Islands. It's an inverted power slam.
Yes.
Hey, you know what? Go to making a finisher. I don't know if I've released it yet. Well, I've got a Jeff Cobb Tour of the Island making a finisher that either is out or will be out. Let me look. I can't even remember if I put it out. No, I didn't put it out yet. It'll come out eventually. But talk to him about like coming up with that move. Normhausen says, evening, boys. Who's the first woman to take a Jade Cargill moonsault? She said she can fly. Also, what was that corkscrew Uranagi call? That looked nasty. I'm not sure what you mean there.
I think he's talking about the Tour of the Islands.
Tour of the Islands. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that it's just weird how like one simple switch of the body, it's power slam.
Yeah.
You're just bringing them the opposite direction.
Yeah.
James says, any word on when Athena was coming in? Would love to see her do a nice program with Jade. Don't think that's as much of a slam dunk now. Haven't heard much on that lately. Riga says, are they looking to sign AQA as someone who just showed up? She got a lot of time and looked really impressive. Commentary really struggled saying her name with a natural flow. I struggle saying it on this show. I keep calling her AQA. Or AKA. See, I couldn't even mispronounce it the right way.
I don't think they have somebody who's unsigned get that much shine against Jade without having an idea that they want to sign that person.
Yeah. Oh boy, we get the Ass Boys and Jurassic Express on Rampage. Sure, we don't got to add a ton to this. Our Guru says, if Finn were to come in and use his clout as the creator of Bullet Club and by osmosis the Elite, who would be in his part of all these factions? Anderson and Gallows, the OGs. You got the OGs. Then you got Jay
Iron
White.
Squad, and then
you got Jay White and God. You've got Undisputed Era off doing their own thing. You've got the Elite, and then who knows? Maybe down the line you got like Hangman and Cody and some other offshoot. Like there's a lot of different ways you can play this. Sawyer says, I want the Good Brothers to bring in Devitt just for the BTE content. Get that handsome hoot back in the ring. Well, you know, they say that they killed Adam Cole on BTE, but he's clearly not dead. Maybe he was just sleeping. Maybe he got a wonderful night's rest on his Helix sleep mattress, and for some reason, I don't have the overlay set. That's a shame. HelixSleep.com/Fightful. Helix is so fantastic. It's changed the way I sleep. It's changed the way that I have lived. It has been fantastic for me. Before I got Helix Sleep, I was only a back sleeper. That's it. Now I'm a back and a side sleeper. It's made me have a more versatile night's sleep. During the pandemic, I wanted a new mattress, did not want to go to a mattress store and roll around on something that a bunch of other sweat hogs had been laying on. So I found Helix Sleep. I took their quick questionnaire and I was matched up with the Dusk Luxe mattress. I wanted something that supported me but was still soft, and they helped me find it. So they sent me the mattress. It was perfect. It was exactly how I had outlined in that questionnaire. And I've got the best night's sleep of my life. Every night that I sleep on this mattress is better than the previous slab of memory foam that I was sleeping on. And you can go to helixsleep.com/Fightful, take that 2-minute quiz, and they'll match you to that customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. They got a 10-year warranty, and you can even try it out risk-free for 100 nights. If you don't love it, they will pick it up for you. No hassle. I love sponsors that provide risk-free, no hassle returns. We have it on several of them, and that's why they're the top overall mattress picked by GQ, Wired Magazine, and Fightful Magazine. They have stuff to cool you down if you sleep hot, mattresses for spinal alignment to prevent morning aches and pains, even plus-size mattresses for plus-size sleepers. You can get up to $200 off all mattresses and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/Fightful. I love Helix Sleep. It has changed my life. I'm very happy that several of our readers tell me that it's helped them a lot as well. helixsleep.com/Fightful. Well, that's the show, guys. Nothing else happened.
No.
Well,
Good show.
It did. Fightful Select reported this evening that Keith Lee, after we had recklessly speculated on the show that he was set for an AEW debut. Whew. This is fantastic. And by the way, Sova, we're getting to your super chat. We keep them all in the back end. Before we get to the Lee segment, Zach says, don't know what the Tour of the Islands is. That's Wrath of the Gods is performed by Monster Matanza Cueto. Very clever. Keith Lee is the mystery opponent. He is signed with AEW. A couple weeks ago, people in WWE didn't think that I talked to, that know Keith Lee didn't think that it was a slam dunk. Boy, did that change this weekend. Started to get a lot of talk, a lot of chatter about Keith Lee coming in. I want to say the beginning of February. February 1st is when I had heard that. Chris Rain says, so happy Keith Lee is all elite. Love me some Sova says, Isaiah Cassidy's facial reactions were priceless.
That was so good. You could tell he did not, because he'd been talking on Twitter about who he thought it was going to be. That was not who he was expecting. I loved it.
Dan Janoff says, shout out to Mikey Ruckus for creating another banger of a theme. What'd you all think of the theme, Robert?
Stuff.
Theme was perfect for him, and it's so much better than his main roster thing. It was like they stripped away everything that the main roster had done to him and just brought out NXT Keith Lee straight from his title reign, and it was perfect.
Throat Chop says Alex isn't going to need Blue Chew because I'm going to get him hard with 3 words. Miro versus Keith Lee. That is 4 words.
True.
Tom
But I am fully erect.
Yikes. ShotKid29 says, I need a hose after that Limitless Dynamite. C says, I've never seen Keith Lee in NXT wrestle, so this is my first time seeing him. Boy, how did WWE mess that up? Chris Rain says, I can't express how happy I am to see Keith Lee be Keith Lee in the ring. Rerun says, not sure there's a better opponent for Keith Lee's first match. Announce team did a great job putting both guys over. Jarlik Zool says, very happy to see Keith Lee. AEW needs more big men. Tom LaValle puts over the theme song, says Mikey Ruckus does not miss. Props to Will Washington for throwing it up on Twitter. Yes, big shout out to Will Washington. Jay says, I didn't realize how over Lee was, but that crowd was hot. His slow takeoff of the hoodie was a shot at WWE, right? I don't know, but there were a lot of shots. I went like really fast through those super chats. Tremaine saying he's limitless. Bask, everybody. There are a lot of people that didn't quite know what Keith Lee was capable of. Remember, NXT was drawing 6, 7, 800,000. Raw was drawing 1.7 to 2 point whatever million when Keith Lee was there, and he didn't really get to display a lot of that, Alex. I know you've been very passionate about the use of Keith Lee. I got to agree with our super chatters. Isaiah Cassidy was a fantastic idea. What'd you think?
The very first thing he did in the ring, other than, remove his little vest thing to show that he wasn't like squished into a little shirt thing that they made him do in the main roster. But after that, pushing Isaiah Cassidy back into the corner and literally throwing him 100 miles, like way up in the air too. Like Cassidy took it like a champ, but the crowd went like, oh, like it was this really great moment. I do not know how you had him have that moment in Survivor Series versus Roman Reigns, and then 2 months later have that moment versus Brock Lesnar, and did not say, oh, we're going to make $1 gazillion with this guy. I have no idea. But they didn't, and now he's here, and just the look on his face when he came out, he was just so happy. Like there was a man who had his passion for that art form rekindled by coming to be. I'm looking forward to this so much. He got to do only a fraction of the things that I know that Keith Lee is capable of doing in this match, and it was still so much more than he got to show in any of his matches as Bearcat Lee. So I'm very, very excited.
Well, Sawyer says, what's Bearcat doing in the elite zone? Tremaine says, no girdle. His chest is free. Zach says, Keith Lee knew what he was doing when he took off his vest so slowly. He knew he wanted to see the nips. The WWE made him cover up. Bask in his glory indeed. Jay says, a lot of the WWE peeps who came in we knew were great, but Lee proves that Vince can F up a one care funeral. I don't know what that means at all. I don't understand the term. I don't go here. Jambeard says, thank God for no stupid, ugly singlet and shorts. Robert, what'd you think of the physical presentation?
Well, like I said, it's literally, okay, cool. He's just like straight off of NXT television. They did it right. Because I don't know how they screwed up Keith Lee. You have Vince McMahon on record on a WWE 24 saying, look what I got here. Look at you. You're great. You're amazing. You got Brock Lesnar saying, who's this motherfucker? I want to fight him. You got him main eventing Survivor Series with Roman. How they screwed this up, I will never know. But they did. They missed the bucket wildly with Keith. And now Tony Khan's just going to do everything he can to make him a star, hopefully. And I mean, it was just great to see him looking good. He looks healthy. He looks ready to go. And he caught Isaiah from a tope. Like, the man was just jumping. He was catching a baby. It was insane. This man is the best big man in wrestling today. And the only thing I regret is that T-Bar isn't free to have bangers with him on Wednesday nights.
So Isaiah Cassidy, got to give him a ton of credit.
Yeah.
Like selling that toss, amazing. Isaiah Cassidy has just gotten so good. Mm-hmm. Kevin Slider says, AEW became limitless and I'm all for it. Nerd Guru says, what a show. Been happy with a lot of their signings, but Keith Lee warms my heart the most. Guy went through hell and back. Bask in him. Tom says, great debut from Keith Lee. Thought he paced his spots really nice to allow the fans to bask in each moment. You guys rule hard. So the only issue I have with the match, there was a little bit of a miscommunication on an apron spot. Quickly rectified. Stuff happens. It was a fantastic debut, fantastic match. Tremaine says the AEW console game is looking stacked now. We've got Riga saying Keith Lee looked amazing tonight. Hope he wins the ladder match and beats Sammy for the belt. Only for the Redeemer to return. Keith versus Miro for a belt is something we simply must see. Andrade and Darby can take each other out in the ladder match and feud about it. Alex, what does that do for you creatively? You excited to see Miro and Lee?
I mean, yes. And I don't want either of those guys to lose a match ever because they're two of my favorite guys ever. So I don't want, I want to see the match, of course, like hook it to my veins. But at the same time, I want both my boys to be protected forever because I love them and they're precious to me. So difficult.
I like people discovering Keith Lee. They said, holy crap, he is agile. Yes, he is. You haven't even begun to see it, buddy.
That's insane. That's another thing. They're discovering Keith Lee. The man was on Monday Night Raw, the longest running weekly episodic television show. They say it every week. And the people don't know how good he is.
We got C-Sing at SAT. I've already seen people body shame Lee on Twitter. Well, those people are morons.
They're going to.
Dummies. Brian says Matt leaving. Actually, I'll get to that in a moment. Jay says, sorry, SRS, the line was one car funeral. He ran through a clothesline like it wasn't there. There we go. Rico D. Fade says, one of the best Dynamites I've seen. It didn't even have Danhausen on it. Loved how Keith Lee threw Isaiah Cassidy like he was Jazzy Jeff. That is a fantastic reference. Going to get through these Keith Lee super chats. Daniel says, Keith Lee, that Beal was amazing. The post-match powerbomb was awesome. Whenever he and Wardlow decide to go up against each other, they might take Hoss match to a new level. I like that. Like, Hoss match doesn't need to be 7-foot tall guy versus 7-foot tall guy. It can be big sirloin beef sons of bitch against another one. Brent says, we got to watch Keith Toth Isaiah with the power of pure joy. It was a good night. Boom, says Lee, Switchblade, Pentagon Dark, and AEW. Let's go. What a show. Oh, buddy, you better believe Pentagon's happy for that merchandising, too. Eloquent wants us to retire the term Forbidden Door. Ain't happening, buddy.
I'd like to not have to write it, though.
Yeah. Brian says, do you think Keith Lee signing with AEW means anything for Shane Taylor's chances of joining as well? I wouldn't say imminently. I don't know what kind of terms Shane and Keith are on. I would imagine good terms based on conversations I've had with Shane Taylor. But I think it's possible. Shane Taylor is so freaking good. Like, if some of you are just discovering Keith Lee, you probably don't know Shane Taylor, and you should.
I tell you, I'm worried for Adam Cole. They might have to cut his hair and make him a manager.
I like that idea. Mark Losper says, only part of today's Dynamite I saw was Keith's entrance and him throwing Cassidy 44 kilometers across the earth, and I'm fine with this. Alicia says that she screamed when she saw Jay and Keith. Also, Jay White and Hangman Page's feud in New Japan was awesome. I think we'll see some more of that in the future. Jambeard said there's no limit on how great this show was tonight. Normally, I'd say it was 5 out of 5. The wrestling world has been healed tonight. We've got so much love for Keith Lee. That's what I like. People are always excited. Now AEW's got to follow up on it. They've got to provide something creatively satisfying. Sawyer says, Keith Lee, top rope Spanish fly on Dijak and NXT burned into my memory. Can't wait for people to see more. Brian Sullivan, actually, that is one that I keep skipping over because we haven't gotten to the Matt Hardy thing, so I'm going to separate these. But OGP, yeah, you know me, says, great show. My hero, Keith Mother effing Lee and Penta Black. Santana and Ortiz looking like badasses again. Deeb challenge, also A1. Keith Lee, my heart, LOL. Adam Cole pouncing AEW. Man, there's just so much. So I do want to address Matt Hardy, though, because I keep skipping around and I keep accidentally reading this super chat. Matt Hardy basically was like, if you guys lose, I'm out. Like, I'm tired of dealing with this. And he leaves the way that Jeff Hardy left his last match in WWE. He hops the guardrail, walks into the crowd, and commentary mentions that's some erratic behavior. A lot of people are like, well, that's a shot at WWE. WWE didn't use that term. People who covered it did, because we couldn't say he was drugged, he was drunk, because we didn't know. And as we learned, he wasn't. Jeff Hardy wasn't. So Matt Hardy either ribbing about that or playing off of that, I find that very entertaining. I like that. I thought that was funny stuff, Alex.
No, I liked it too. I think it works for what he's doing with Private Party, saying that they've disappointed him enough that he's done with them, and also it has that added bonus of being part of that. I did love it. Like calling it erratic behavior was great on commentary. All of it was great.
Jay says Matt Hardy checking out of his match is the start of the Hardy Boys, right? Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
I would imagine so. Oh, man. John Larkin says, started watching wrestling again for the first time since I was 11 with my roommates a few years ago at school and fell in love with Keith Lee. What a happy night for me knowing he'll be in a place where they understand how truly amazing he is. Robert, what do you see as the future for Keith Lee in this company, or the ceiling? Do you think he can go all the way to the top?
Absolutely, I think he can. Yeah, you've got.
Well, what were you about to say? The sky is the limit?
I was going to say.
I think it's limitless.
Hey, there you go. I mean, really, this guy is so good. He's so good. He was the NXT champion, the North American champion. He beat Adam Cole in his 500-day reign. They're gonna get back to that because Adam Cole wants to be the guy, and that's the guy that ended his reign as the guy. I can't wait to see everything they have for him. Normally, I wouldn't advise just pushing a guy to the title, but I think he should win the ladder match and win the title the next week.
Oh, man, we still got love for Keith Lee coming in. Unreal. Get in your super chats and your humper chats. We got this in the main event to talk about. Lord Jackson says, with every show that passes, it becomes more and obvious NXT was developmental for AEW. Well, it certainly is seen that way. Yeah.
It's so sad because it really should have been a great competitive Wednesday night thing, and it's just clearly not.
Vasily says, Miro wanting to destroy God could introduce Lee as God's protector. Bask in the protector. I'm very excited to see what Miro does next because he hasn't popped up on TV in a while. Joe Bosket says they could finally introduce the trios title, Bear Bronson, Bear Boulder, and Bear Keith Lee. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. I appreciate it.
If they don't do it at least once on a dark, though.
As a rib, yes. I think that'd be very funny. And then Bryan Danielson has a problem with all of them because he
wrestles bears.
He wrestles bears, and he knows bear style. Like, that's his whole thing.
Like, he should come out one time in a luchador mask. It's like Oso Gato, and like wrestle one match as Oso Gato, and like that'd be great.
He's worked under a mask on Dark.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Tremaine says, I know E is happy in the Fed, but I need him slapping meat with Lee, Wardlow, and Hobbs. There's some work to be done backstage with him and Hobbs. Riley says, great episode of Dynamite. First time ever a match created on Dynamite that happened that very episode with the Punk tag. Big credit to Cassidy for selling like he did for Keith Lee. The thing is, it's not just surprises. It's just there's so much positive emanating from this show. We're an hour and a half deep. Like a year ago, I was like, let's only do an hour on a show. Now I'm like, we might go an hour 40. We might go an hour 45. People want to talk about this show. If anybody ever points to wrestling media and says, you guys thrive on the negative, point to shows like this. This is our top viewed show, top earning show. People want to talk about stuff that they like that makes them happy. Nerd Guru says, Keith finally found where Adam Cole landed 3 years after he pounced him. Jam Beard says, to quote the boys from Cultaholic, AW didn't forget about Keith Lee. I want him to squash Sammy for the title now. I don't know about squashing him, but I would like for him to be pretty heavily pushed. I think FTW title could be an interesting direction for him in the future as well. Mark says the ceiling for Keith Lee is every title on earth at once until Samoa Joe chokes him out. Anani Mouse says Keith Lee appreciation humper chat, which was sent at humperchats.com. Get them in. Says, I was struggling not to start streaming like a fangirl. I was working in an office while it happened. When I saw the Contron that said Limitless, I get to see Keith Lee at Revolution. I am so happy. If any of you are at Revolution, come say hi to me. So glad you get to see that, Anonymous Mouse. Dan the Man sent in 2. He says, Dynamite always delivers. Nitpicking aside, Lee White debut definitely shut down the free agent Forbidden Door naysayers tonight. And love Deeb. There were still a couple.
No, the sad thing is it did not do that.
Yeah.
It should have, but it did not.
It didn't. Yeah. Dan the Man also says Dynamite's the best show in recent memory, week in, week out. Lee plus White debut addressed the free agent Forbidden Door nitpickers. Love Deeb. Loved Hangman's improvised buckshot. Oh, I can't wait to talk about that main event.
Mm-hmm.
We are almost through the Keith Lee super chats. I mean, this makes me happy. Like Danhausen debuting got a ton of love, and so did this. Christian says Keith Lee versus any big man in AEW would be great. Please shout big meaty men slapping meat. We prefer sirloin beef, sons of bitches.
It's true.
Just that raw cooked doesn't matter. Slap that meat up against each other. That's what we like. Dane Janoff says that was one of the best Dynamites I've ever seen, from the debuts to the matches. A reminder that WWE didn't know what to do with Keith Lee. I'd like to forget that. Hopefully now I can. Jay says, I watched most of your recaps, and the energy on the show is fantastic. Ricochet is the one we need next. It's going to be a while, buddy.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Going to be a while. But before we get to the main event, I wanted to mention 3 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, we're doing a special podcast. Jimmy Van has insisted on it, and I was all too happy to do it. It is outside the ring. We're doing a bit of a cat podcast to benefit a variety of charities. 3 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. Check it out. Send in super chats. Send in humper chats. We're going to have a veterinary professional on there to talk about a variety of things. We're going to kind of expand, do some more shows like that. And if you're into a lot of different shows, head over to Fightful Overbooked, youtube.com/Fightful Overbooked. Lots of great stuff over there. We're working on getting that on Apple iTunes, but tune in Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Matthew Mikoski says Keith Lee debuts 3 weeks later. Oh, by the way, he's going to be in a ladder match. Who do you think wins that match? Well, I'm glad it's not for a world title match at this point. But also, I'm like, this is an open challenge title. But then again, those happen far less than usual. Robert, how do you see this one going?
So I would still need to see the full lineup, but Keith has to be a favorite. I mean, Andrade should. Andrade walking around the big Sonic ring, though, I'm not crazy about. So maybe Keith Lee gets it. And I know Darby's going to at least want it. Cody's probably going to want it. I don't know if he wants to do another ladder match, but he's going to want in that match. It's going to be a good time.
I think the guy that has the best storyline that can come out of it is Wardlow, because of that clause in his contract where if he wins a title, it automatically goes to MJF. So if Wardlow were to win the ladder match to get the title shot and then beat Sammy Guevara, and MJF comes out and says, "Thank you, give me my title now," that would be the perfect impetus for that. Would be the last straw for Wardlow.
What kind of businessman is Tony Khan that he would just allow this kind of a clause?
Subcontractor. What I meant to mention this earlier. I would love if we see Mark Sterling trying to get MJF's attention in upcoming weeks. Like, hey man, I need to talk to you about something, and MJF is like shooing him away. Like, I don't have time for you. I don't have time for you. Then one week he's like, no, really need to talk to you. MJF's like, just text me. And Mark's like, you never gave me your number. You won't give me your number. And he's trying to warn MJF, like, Homeboy's contract's coming up, just so you know. Yeah. He's not going to need you soon. JB Love says, so happy to see Keith Lee come out on top after all he's been through. Success is the best revenge. Yeah, hoping for the best health for him as well.
Me too.
You can't predict that at all. Daniel R. says, if it's not too dangerous, would love to see Keith somehow powerbomb a ladder or powerbomb a ladder with someone on it. Also loved when he stopped the match and pretended to be a conductor. Yeah. I think that Wardlow should do the powerbomb, like a ladder powerbomb. Like I don't want to say he owns the powerbomb, but it's become largely.
They're going to do the Authors of Pain spot where they powerbomb the guys into each other and then on the ground.
That didn't end so well for Anthony Bowens. Got one of those in the can, too. Enhancement stories where Bowens talks about getting knocked out by that. Eloquent says, shout-outs to Reg and Will for the new AEW album music. I am so proud of them for that. Really, really talented guys. Oh, this main event. Holy crap. So I had some criticisms about this feud in previous weeks because Dan Lambert was as good as he possibly could have been. Had a lot of concerns about foregone conclusions. Well, I didn't doubt that Hangman Page is going to win this, but it didn't matter. I was into this match. They busted Lance Archer open from the jump. A bit of a different Texas death match than what we saw at Slammiversary with Deonna Purrazzo and Mickie James, and I think that's good. I think pinning somebody, then going to a 10 count, don't need it. These rules were a bit different than that. Riga says, I saw people saying 15 minutes for a death match, LOL, and was that it about the main event? And those people are insane. That was free TV, and it was great, concise, violent, and memorable. And Hangman hit a gusher tonight. That was a cowboy gig. Ultimately, for people, if I don't know what you could have wanted more out of that, Alex. I thought that had some clever spots. It had some violence. It had an unbelievable finish that we'll talk about.
Yeah.
I think given the position that was and a short-term feud, they took a feud that I wasn't interested in and gave me a badass match out of it.
Well, I thought I agree with you on the feud not being interested in it, but I always knew this match was going to bang.
Sure.
Like Lance Archer in this kind of match always brings it. And then you got Paige, who still, I believe, is fighting against that whole thing of like, is he really the top guy, though? Like, there's too many people, even people who like AEW, who still feel that way about Paige. And he's proving with his technical wizardry and outlasting Bryan Danielson on 2 separate occasions. And then with this, where he can like just say, you know what, I'm going to try and get myself murdered in a match, but somehow come on top. He's everything that I think we want him to be. I loved this. I like that they actually gave credit to Jake Roberts for it. But Dan Lambert coming out and taking down the top rope, because without top rope, you can't do the buckshot lariat, which is which is his secret weapon. It's his finisher he wins all his matches with. That was really, I love when heels are smart. I love it. Because it gives something extra for the babyface to fight against. And then like crazy spots all over the place. And as you mentioned, Hangman hit a gusher, but that blackout from the apron onto the steel steps that were turned sideways, like when I saw it the first time from the angle above, I thought that like Paige's spine hit the corner of the steel and like would have just like, oh, that would have been your kidneys. But he did land it flat. So like it would looked brutal, but it was as safe as you could take a move like that. I thought that was all great. And the finish, which we'll talk about. Like I cackled for 5 minutes after that thing. It was so great.
Oh my gosh. Nathan DePaul says we're getting Abdullah the Butcher spots free on TV in 2022. This is nuts. Ian says the main event was amazing. I knew Hangman was going to win, but they got me. Don't bite on a near fall. I just sat there, or didn't just bite on a near fall. I sat there thinking the switch was coming for a while. That's impressive. Credit to Lance and Hangman. Lance needs a feud he can win. I mean, he did win he beat Moxley for a title on TV last year. Bako 5 says, shout out to Archer for constantly putting over guys. He knows where he's at in his career, and he made Hangman look like a killer and further elevated him. I mean, Lance Archer could have got a long way just by being tall. And he was like, no, you know what? I'm going to never give up on evolving as a worker. And the finish that we saw, Robert, we won't get into the post-match yet, but the finish was the ref bending over, and Hangman said, I'm just going to propel myself over you, and hit the buckshot lariat into a bunch of tables. What a way to go and end this incredible match.
What a way to go, indeed. And that's about as good as you can get, because you can't get him up for the dead eye, and I understand that. I do want a little more oomph in his clotheslines. I'd love it if he could bulk up a bit and do like a JBL, like just straight on the knock your head off. Great finish. I do want to get to Alex's point about he's still fighting to be the guy, because there's still so much on this show, and it's still like, I don't know, man, is Hangman the guy? And I think that will be his legacy for this first run at least. But damn, these were 3 good title matches, and this was a war. Don't ever let anyone forget that Tony Khan is a territories guy. This felt like a Bruiser Brody challengers for the NWA title kind of deal, and it was good.
Chris Raines says that was a cool way to do the buckshot lariat. There's been a lot of talk about Hangman's title reign. I think it's been good. Like people, when somebody finally completes the chase, it's so much like, now what? Now what? And we're so conditioned to having a throwaway first feud. Not Hangman. He had 2 big Bryan Danielson matches. December, a month after his title win, he went an hour. Then January, he went a half an hour with Bryan Danielson again. Here he comes back a month later. You're giving me a solid one of those a month? That's a good title reign to me. And he had a banger on TV in the main event of one of the best Dynamites of all time with Lance Archer. And where's he going now? Into a feud with undefeated on the record Adam Cole. And first off, I want to address this. Ash says, by the way, the ref saw Dane removing the ring post 2 or 3 times, but Howard tried to act as if he didn't notice it. It's a no DQ. It didn't matter.
DQ. He can't do
anything about it anyway.
He might as well not notice it. It didn't matter. Adam Cole came out. Chris Williams says he's great, but the belt made him look small. I don't care. Adam Cole is good because despite what his size is, he'll still beat your ass. And Jarlaxul says, I have conflicted feelings about Cole versus Page. I don't really want to see Dark Order versus Elite Gang Wars again. However, if this means we get to see Stu Grayson wrestle, got to take the bad to get the good. I hope this integrates Dark Order more. That has been my primary thing, my primary hang up on Hangman Page. Besides the HFO thing, we haven't seen a lot of integration, and they were a major part of his build. They were a significant part of his build, Alex, and I do want to see more of that. How do you think they'll factor into the future of Hangman Page and Adam Cole?
Well, it's interesting. Like I think it's kind of like a way to cancel out all of Adam's friends with just the numbers of the Dark Order. Kind of a thing where like in the wars of old, where instead of having a 17-day battle where thousands of men died, you'd send out your champion and they'd send out their champion and they'd have a one-on-one fight. And whoever won, that was the end of the war. That was how occasionally they would do that. And that's what you can do it kind of that way, in a way where like, we're not going to have this giant brawl or whatever, but we're just going to be able to keep the peace and let these two guys fight. You can't get involved and we can't get involved. You can kind of do it that way. So it's not actually a lumberjack match, but a way of just being able to keep guys apart from each other, because the damn numbers game works both ways. And I like that it could just be Page versus Cole in a great match.
Mike Lima says this episode of Dynamite was great. Food for thought. The last time Hangman did an assisted buckshot lariat, the helper was Kenny Omega, helping Hangman take out Hager back at Stadium Stampede 2020. That is a great callback. Robert, we are a few weeks away from Revolution. We got some bangers on the horizon. Maybe Punk and MJF. Maybe Mox Danielson, maybe. Britt Baker's going to face somebody. That'll be good. You got Cole and Page on the horizon.
So here's
my God.
Look, here's the thing. Page is great. Can't say anything bad about Page. Adam Cole is the best wrestler going today. Adam Cole is Mr. NXT. If for no other reason than just to rub it in everybody's face, Adam Cole needs to be the AEW World Champion to say, I won. That is the sign that I won the war, because your guy is now my guy. And look, he didn't attack Page. He handed him the belt. Adam Cole's the guy who brought Page to Bullet Club. When you're Bullet Club for life. I don't think we're talking about Dark Order. I think we're talking a lot about Bullet Club for the next few weeks, and I am here for it. And I hope Adam Cole wins on March 6th.
Mark Losper says, what more can Hangman do? The match he took the title in was excellent. 3 defenses have been excellent. People questioning him are just wrong. I think, honestly, we are conditioned for a lot of, regardless of any company, of they finally got it. They finally got it. What's next? And then the what's next not being good. Because what can possibly live up to the chase?
Right.
A whole entire battle in keeping it. I mean, quite frankly, we've seen a lot of stuff in WWE where it's like, well, if it's not their time, they're not going to be on TV. Bianca Belair was not on TV the summer of 2020 because it wasn't her time to be at the top of the card. So instead of having something creative, they benched her, and then she came back for her Royal Rumble push and then won all that. AEW is doing a thing where they're like, okay, Bryan Danielson's won a bunch of matches. Let's give him a title shot. Oh, he lost? Well, that's okay. He'll win a bunch of matches again in the future and be right back there, because that's how you rebuild somebody. Oh, who's next? Adam Cole's next? Why not? Why not Adam Cole? He's been winning matches. Why shouldn't he be next? I love it. I love it. Anthony Landry says, tonight felt like a Raw circa 98. Outstanding job by AEW and Tony Khan. This was one of the best episodes of Dynamite I ever saw.
Yeah.
Jay says, Silver and Reynolds are Budge's best friends now. Hangman is on his own. Oh, boy.
That is true.
We've got a bunch of super chats that filtered in about Keith Lee and Wardlow, but Mark Losper says Hangman should crush Cole screaming developmental the whole time.
Oh, boy.
That's when he cuts his hair and brings in Keith Lee to kill Hangman Page.
Jambeard says, I want to see Wardlow and Lee do a power bomb off in the ladder match, doing power bombs to others while they try and outdo each other. I would love that. I always thought a sirloin beef sons of bitches tag team based solely on them one-upping each other's violence is a great idea.
Yeah.
Brody Man Hennessy says, Keith Lee got me back into wrestling and his treatment made me stop watching WWE. I'm excited, but AEW needs another title. I think they need trios titles. That's what I want them to get. Nerd Guru says the comparison is hot off of Becky's huge Mania win that they capitalized by feeding her Lacey Evans. Hangman got Danielson, know the difference. I mean, Benoit got Kane. There's tons. There's case after case. Rollins went into a feud with like Corbin at one point. Like that's always been like, I don't want to say always, that has far too often been like the normal thing is we'll give them just somebody that's not really that much of a threat.
Yeah.
Some stupid punk says, just want to say, love AEW, this freaking company. White and Lee, yes, sir. They couldn't have chosen a better opponent for the Limitless one than Isaiah Cassidy. Credit to that young future star.
Yeah.
Well, credit to you guys. This has been one of our longest shows that I've ever done. And I knew it was going to be, but the response has been overwhelming. And if you guys are here, then I'm going to be here. I hope you guys are here 3 p.m. on Thursday. Also, I'm dropping an AJ Styles in-person interview this week. I also dropped a Larry D in-person interview this week. If some of you are going, who's Larry D? He's been working for Impact the last couple of years, just asked for his release, got it granted, went and interviewed him in person. Fantastic interview. You guys want to check him out. He is such a likable, genuine, down-to-earth dude. And near my neck of the woods, he's starting a wrestling-themed bar of all things that's going to play host to some wrestling, some stories, a lot of cool stuff like that. As we wrap up, Ibby says, Cole ain't winning. Hangman will continue to prove everyone wrong with each match. Fantastic 3 defenses so far. Team Hangman. I am inclined to agree. I think maybe a returning Kenny Omega pops up and costs him the match. Jamebeard says, what did Tony D think of that title match?
Oh, it was fantastic. I love the violence. You know, mostly I do my things with crowbars and pushing guys off of docks where they're wearing cement shoes. But I respect a gusher anytime I see a gusher. That thing on the stairs was just brutal. I loved it. It was fantastic.
How would that differ from a Chicago death match?
Chicago death match. Well, I wouldn't know because I was from Chicago the first 2 vignettes that I said, but then I got switched to New York, so I'm not really sure anymore.
Shows you how much I pay attention to NXT 2.0. Robert, tell the people where they can find you.
Find me everywhere at DeFelice and find me every day on Fightful.com, writing up stories and helping break awesome news and keep supporting these guys.
Guys, you guys have been overwhelming with the support today. Thank you. I want to encourage you, please subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. We had the news we had the speculation on Jay White and Keith Lee up this afternoon. I have news on the nixed Kurt Angle pitches that were supposed to happen. We are breaking news there every single day. We had the news of Keith Lee coming into AEW this evening, and I'm doing a text Q&A this week. Had a bit of a dental emergency this past week. Not supposed to be talking that much or that long on the air, so I'm trying to limit that. But Alex does 2 shows over there as well. Tell him about it.
Late nights on Mondays and Fridays, I'll review Raw and SmackDown. Sean has a habit of saying, I really like the show, and then segment by segment talking about how much he doesn't like it. Not me. I will tell you from the beginning that show sucked and then tell you why. It's a lot of fun. People seem to enjoy it. And then on Tuesdays, me and the wonderful Miss Kate Fabe, we do a review, an after party of sorts for the NXT 2.0 show, where we just lose our minds about how crazy stuff gets over there.
Support NordVPN.com/Fightful and HelixSleep.com/Fightful. Not joking. Both will make your life a lot better. Until next time, guys, we're out.